Movers dancers watakuwa ndani ya nyumba. Kama tutakuwa na Ben Soul in the building. And of course the hostess with the mostest, Amina na Osoro Mbiamono.
Snap snap sana de kujiponya.
Wait, Friday, don't miss out. Yeah.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy gated community of Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Now Kwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
We are very conscious about the pandemic. My name is Stephen Buro. I'm a retired banker. It is only recently that the challenge came regarding the coping with diabetes and high blood pressure. When the pandemic started, I could not go to the chemist to get the medicine. What I did is I contacted UAP. The person who received my phone was Rahab, and she understood my predicament. She asked me, just said the prescription. And within a few hours, the medicine was at my gate here. So I'm very satisfied with the services that UAP Old Mutual have continued to provide for me. And I wish them well that they continue to grow.
This is NTV.
Thank you for joining us on NTV tonight. Now, this is the day that over 17.6 registered voters in Uganda were expected to turn up at the various polling stations to vote in either of their presidential or their parliamentary candidates of their choice. And yes, there were 10 male candidates for the presidential post and 1 female candidate for the presidential post, but it's down to 2 given what has been playing out in the last few weeks, and that is the incumbent Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and his contender Bobi Wine or Robert Chagulanyi, who are going head-to-head. Of course, the counting is just about to start, and that's where the focus is now turning to after 9 hours of Ugandans turning up to the polling stations. We'll be giving you the update from there with our sister station, NTV Uganda. The reporters are following what's been going on, given the complications of being cut out from the internet, of course, but they're still managing to churn out the updates. Also coming up tonight.
Tonight, Uganda decides. The security was tight. The voting is done.
This is the day when we take the first major step into a new Uganda.
Police clamp down civil society tallying center.
Is it illegal to put up another tallying center that is independent?
But of course we are aware of this.
Results are slowly being released. Plus, mourning a colleague slain by her son, a nurse whose demise has left many nursing deep wounds.
Yes, and because we come to you and your sisters and what we are going through, who really takes care of you?
As a mother, as a friend and as a colleague. Anne was all rounded.
The sting of the Kiambaa killings. Also tonight, politicians are back to throwing insults in public. Wananchi are picking up the toxic attitudes and actions.
There are people come and say, you are targeting our man. So in some cases, it is even better for them. They become heroes.
Actions. The Cohesion Commission is still barking without biting. Plus, he admitted that he did the unthinkable. A Corino pastor who defiled his daughters thrown into prison for more than a century.
For a period of 70 years for each charge.
NTV Tonight with Mark Masai.
Thank you once again for joining us on NTV Tonight. Top on our focus, of course, is the elections in Uganda, where there are at least 17.6 million registered voters. Throughout the day, it has been reported that there has been a good turnout of voters, and it has so far been event-free. And of course, there has been a lot of questions as to how exactly things are playing out, but our colleagues at NTV Uganda are keeping us posted. And not too long ago, the polls closed at 4 o'clock, and the focus is turning to the tallying center, where there will be a lot of attention for the next 48 hours as the results start coming in. Not too long ago, the chair of the Electoral Commission, Justice Simon Mugenyi, said that there have been some concerns from polling stations where they had to cancel the exercise, but overall, he had a good review of the exercise. In fact, at around 9:30 East African time, they are starting to release the first batch of the results that are coming to them at the National Tallying Center in Uganda. These are some of the concerns he also had to address, especially in relaying of the results given the internet shutdown. This is what he had to say.
How will you transmit your results now that the internet shut down? Unfortunately, we are not using this local internet to transmit our results. We are using our own system. Don't worry. The results will come, in spite of the fact that the internet has been shut down. All I want to say is that this was not a general problem. It was in some isolated areas. And the Commission will be informing the country in the next few days as to what the particular problem was concerning that. But all I wish to say that our technical teams were able to move around the polling stations where these problems occurred, and were in a position to correct whatever anomaly was observed or emanated at that polling station with regard to the use of BVVK.
That is the electoral chair, Justice Simon Mugenyi, speaking from the National Tallying Center in Kyambogo, where the attention will now turn to as results start coming in. And there are also concerns about the biometric kits not working earlier in the day, as well as the delay in delivery of ballot papers at some of the polling stations, at least 34,000 polling stations from around the country, and some concerns of the delay in the practice starting late. It was meant to start at 7 o'clock and close at 4. Not everything went as was planned, but one of those who managed to vote, and you can guess who he voted for, was the National Unity Platform presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi, otherwise known as Bobby Wine. He turned up to vote alongside his wife and, of course, some of his supporters, and he was very confident that, in his words, this is the beginning of change, a new change for a new Uganda. And they earlier said, his party, of course, that they would not accept results of a rigged election. And yes, he says as well, the concerns about shutting the world out from following this particular exercise was not welcome.
This is the day when we take the first major step into a new Uganda.
And that's not the only one or the centers that our colleagues managed to capture the action there. Let's also see what happened in Amuriat as the voting exercise played out.
Earlier 7 people had already started gathering at Ajuket Primary School polling station, where FDC presidential candidate Patrick Amuriat, he was supposed to be casting his vote, and he later turned up and cast his ballot. But there was a delay in the morning because, first of all, the officials from Electoral Commission were fidgeting with the system, where they were saying that it is not accepting the password that they were given to ensure that it is able to read the voters' location slips. And that took some time, and then, of course, phone calls here and there, and later the problem was fixed. Patrick Amuriat stays just not far from the polling station. He walked still barefooted to the polling station. He cast his vote. The polling agents were quite a distance away from the table where the polling officials from Electoral Commission were.
That kind of distance risked the whole process being jeopardized and mismanaged, for that matter. And so, getting close to the polling, the table where the presiding officer is giving out or issuing ballot papers is really very, very important.
Voting was halted for some good time at Children's Lion Park in Mbale, just less than a kilometer from Mbale city center. And that was just mainly because of one reason, that some of the forms, those are the declaration forms, were found to have been signed before even the voting ended. We wanted to know, sir, we were told that you got an order that you should have these forms filled in before the voting ended.
No, sir. Nobody told me so.
Why do you allow people to sign empty declaration form? Who is that agent? You people, why do you want to cause issues? EC trains you. Were you trained? How were you trained? If it is proved it was done like it's wrong, is that agents of candidates must sign after counting.
Here is being taken. That is the Electoral Commission official being arrested. That is the official of the Electoral Commission put onto the pickup, and you can see one of the agents also inside. But there was information earlier on that they got information from one official who told them that he should do that in order to ease his work, but that was wrong.
So these people, because they have been bribed, they want to do what their masters and mistresses have given them. But they must, this man should sleep in the police cells.
Some of the drama that played out earlier, where the other presidential candidate, Patrick Amuriat, I should have said, had voted, and some of the irregularities that were seen to have taken place. And yes, Patrick Amuriat, not a popular name in the leading up to this particular poll, because you've heard mostly of Bobby Wine and Yoweri Museveni, the incumbent, but there are 10 male candidates and 1 female candidate for the presidential seat, and we will be getting more from that. Something else that played out today was the arrest of several officials at the Hotel Africana in Kampala, where it was suspected by the local authorities that they were running a parallel tallying center. According to them, this is not is not allowed, and they have been arrested by cyber experts. This was earlier this evening and taken into custody, about 30 officials, and they did identify themselves as electoral observers. And of course, the country, given what has been happening, is very paranoid about people who are not within the system and have some form of equipment that is suspect to them. The country is still on an internet lockdown, in terms of, if I could call it that, and people who have been able to send information out on the internet have been using other platforms to bypass this blockade. We'll be getting more updates from there. Even getting through to them through the phone calls has been a challenge for some, but there's something else that was very evident on the streets of Uganda, whether it's in Kampala or in other areas. The heavy deployment of the military and other police officers from the different departments of the security machinery, just a show of might. And earlier in the day, the police spokesman was put to task on this heavy deployment. His name is Fred Enanga, and he was asked why this heavy deployment and whether this was adding up to intimidation. He said this is far from the truth, and they just wanted to ensure that there was peace as this exercise is carried out. Remember, Bobby Wine, the main opposition candidate, had asked his followers to stay on at the various polling stations and protect their votes, but the authorities had discouraged anyone who has already voted from dilly-dallying and asking everyone to get home. Another concern has been the protocols that have been followed, or the standard operating procedures of the COVID-19 protocols, if they have been followed. You've seen some of the pictures there in terms of the social and physical distancing, and whether people really followed the use of face masks and washing of hands, and even the big question of why biometric kits were being used at this time of the pandemic. Just a shot there of the security that has been deployed in Uganda in different parts. And this is not the only thing that we've been trailing in the border town of Busia. We also have the border community Malaba, where many people have actually crossed over from Uganda, and that's Kenyans who have worked within Uganda doing one or two businesses, or Ugandans who are in some form of concern or uncertainty as to what will play out based on what they saw, the heavy deployment of authorities and the security officials, with some saying that not even their pets would be spared by these military, these men and women in uniform, knowing how hard the authorities there clamp down on any form of dissent. And they say that it wouldn't be worth it staying on there. But more or less, business has been as usual at the border towns, and Zacchaeus Mwasame spoke to one or two business people who, of course, in the interest of their business going on, would just wish that things would settle as soon as possible so business picks up.
It was business as usual at the Kenya-Uganda borders at Busia and Malaba. Business persons and drivers who spoke to NTV registered their satisfaction with the adequate security provided by the Ugandan government and urged Ugandans to remain peaceful during and after the elections.
Endelea tu salama, isipokuwa majeshi ni mengi Uganda, lakini tuko tunaendelea tuna kuchagua. Hata mimi nishachagua wangu. Kula yake mimi naenda kumpatia hata familia yangu yote.
Sasa tulikuwa tunaomba serikali ya Uganda, tafadhali, hata sisi tuna mandugu zetu, mabwana zetu, marafiki zetu wanafanya hizi kazi za transit. Tunaomba tafadhali wasifanye vurugu.
Some of them have, however, asked the Ugandan Electoral Commission to be transparent in what they say will determine stability in the country that has been led by President Yoweri Museveni for over 30 years.
Uchaguzi wa mara hii ni nakula mambo ya kuvutana.
According to the atmosphere, the people are just free and they're exercising their rights, so I believe it will be free and fair. I voted in a forest, a place called Oboresi.
A day before the polls opened, some residents and traders at the border areas had expressed concern over the heavy contingent of security officials deployed in Uganda and limitation of movement and communication. Zacchaeus Masame, NTV.
And going by the brief from the Electoral Commission in Uganda that is centered at Chabongo in Kampala, they say that the first batch of results should be coming in 15 minutes. If and when we get that, we'll relay that to you. The question was put to them by, among others, some of our colleagues, Mujuni Raymond at NTV Uganda, as to how exactly they will be relaying the electoral the results electronically, given the shutdown. And the chair of the Electoral Commission, Justice Simon, said they're very confident. They're not using the usual system, but they have their alternative system, and you will get the results. Quite a heavy statement there. And some reports there also from our colleague there is that the supporters of presidential candidate Bobby Wine have been arrested at his home polling center of Magere. The supporters had refused to leave the polling station during the counting of ballots. We'll be bringing you the very latest as and when we get them. A big time for now. Stay with us.
Dawa ni ya Medevroboto funza na pia kuguni tunauza hapa.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Huyu si Alusa?
Sir.
Hebu ngoja kidogo. Hebu simamisha hapo mbele. Unasema?
I am John from Safaricom. Now, we've noted your line is registered ×2. Sasa, ili tuhakikishe line ni yako, nipe ID number, date of birth na PIN yako.
Okay. So, ID ni 20445. Safaricom? Si waitishi mtu PIN.
Nitafunga hii line yako usiponipa hii maelezo.
We, John, usinicheze by the way. Tulijichanua kitambo.
Sasa, mimi ni Zuri kutoka Safaricom na niko hapa kukuchanua. Kaa macho. Safaricom upiga kutoka 0722 000 pekee. Ukipigiwa na namba nyingine, usipeane maelezo yako ya kibinafsi. Tuma namba ya mkora kwa 333 ili Safaricom ichukue hatua. Jichanue and take control.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Yo, it is Friday, you know how it goes down. Movers dancers watakuwa ndani ya nyumba. Kama tutakuwa na Ben Soul in the building. And of course, the hostess with the mostest, Amina na Osoro Mbiamono.
Snap, snap, sana de kujiponyo.
Wait, if Friday, don't miss out. Yeah.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy Gated Community off Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Now Kwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
Welcome back. A man who defiled and as a result impregnated his 2 daughters in Kirinyaga County has been sentenced to 140 years in prison. This is after he pleaded guilty to the 2 counts of defilement. Anita Nkonge with the gory details.
45-year-old John Gishira was sentenced to 140 years for 2 counts of incest after he pleaded guilty. The Akorino pastor was charged that in June 2019 and August 2020, on diverse dates, defiled and impregnated his 16-year-old and 14-year-old daughters. His 16-year-old daughter now has a 7-month-old baby, whilst his 14-year-old girl is expecting hers in the next few months. The matter had been reported to the Bariko police station by the area chief, prompting the suspect to escape. He was later traced and arrested in Bere South, Embu County, late last year. Whilst in court, Pastor John Gishira asked for forgiveness from both the victims and the court, saying that everybody makes mistakes. The members of the victim's family, however, feel otherwise.
Ni mimi nilikuwa nikikaa na huyo watoto Jacinta wangu na nimefurahi kwa hiyo mashtaka yake vile anastakiwa. Nimesema ni asanti na shukuru Mungu kwa sababu angerudi nyumbani watoto wangekuwa na maisha mbaya kabisa.
This is not the first time such a sentence has been given. In 2016, Harrison Kinyua, a then 20-year-old man, was sentenced to 100 years in jail in an Embu court for defiling 3 minors. According to the 2006 Sexual Offences Act, defilement is an act in which a person causes penetration with a child. Furthermore, a person who commits the offence with a child aged 11 years or less shall, upon conviction, be sentenced to imprisonment for life. A person who commits an offence of defiling a child between the age of 12 and 15 years is liable upon conviction to imprisonment for a term of not less than 20 years. These are not isolated cases. According to the 2020 Kenya National Bureau for Statistics Economic Survey, there were 5,397 reported cases of defilement in 2019. When it came to incest, there were 261 reported cases. Similarly, those reported to have committed rape within that period increased by 3.1%, from 921 to 950. There have been increased reports of sexual offences, especially on minors, over the COVID-19 lockdown and stay-at-home period. The case of Pastor John Gishira and the 140-year sentence handed to him for defiling and impregnating his daughters is expected to serve as a deterrent. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
The late Anne Wajiko, who was allegedly brutally murdered by her own son, Lawrence Warunge, about a week ago at her home in Kiambu County, was earlier today eulogized by her colleagues in the nursing profession during an emotional requiem mass held in the same county. And together with her husband, son and nephew, will be laid to rest on Saturday in Kiamba sub-county. Her son and girlfriend, who are the prime suspects in the horrendous murder, are in custody as police continue with investigations.
The nursing fraternity from Kiambu County honored its departed heroine by holding a farewell service at the Wangige Level 4 Sub-County Hospital in Kiambu County, where the late Anne Wanjiku was a nurse. Her colleagues described the mother of 4 as dedicated, kind and resourceful.
She was not in a hurry to solve someone's problems. She was there, she listened, and she really took time. Because I understand that she used to take up to 30 minutes with a single individual or family member.
My second child, my second daughter, she's the one wakiwa na Sister Grace na namuona hapa. Ni wao walimsaidia bibi yangu kujifungua. Because I have faith in public institutions. I can remember her call telling me she's a baby girl.
Some were concerned of her well-being, as if predicting what befell her.
So I asked, and because we come to you and your sisters and what we are going through, who really takes care of you? Because I was curious, because she was really working and with the help of one of our psychologists who was here. And from that, she gave me a detailed answer that I was satisfied with at that time.
We feel that gap that she has left. We pray for the family. You know, there are 3 children of hers that have been left without a mother, without a father. One of them is in custody. We pray for him. He doesn't know what he did. Maybe he was sick. Let us pray for him. Let us not blame him.
We are mothers, we are fathers, we are parents to be. Please, don't live in denial of our children. Talk to your children, become friends with your children, so that you know when there is a problem.
Anne Wanjiku, her husband Lawrence Njoroge Warunge, also a nurse who was based in the US, her son Christian Jenga and nephew Maxwell Njoroge will be laid to rest at her Kagongo village, Kihara, in Kiamba sub-county on Saturday. The late James Kinanjui, the construction worker who was residing with the Warunge's family, was buried on Wednesday in Kabete. They were all allegedly murdered by Lawrence Warunge the main suspect currently being detained by police. Lawrence and his girlfriend, Susan Mudhoni, remain in custody as homicide detectives continue with investigations. Seth Olale, NTV.
Now to some politics and concerns for the future given the elections we're looking forward to. The National Cohesion and Integration Commission has formulated an interagency team comprised of the IEBC, EACC and the Registrar of Political Parties to ensure a peaceful campaign period and election ahead of 2022. NCIC raising concern on the rising political temperatures in the country with growing hate speech and divisive remarks following the possible BBI referendum this year. Zainab Ismail reports on the new tactics politicians are employing.
On Wednesday, ODM leader Raila Odinga toured the Burma market to popularize the BBI agenda.
Ndani ya BBI tunaweka msingi ya kuunganisha Kenya iwe kama kitu kimoja. Majamaa jana wameunda chama na nilikuwa nafikiri mkubwa hiyo chama atakuwa mama mboga ama vijana kama sisi. Chama ni hiyo chama ni Mudhama ambaye ni bwenyenye, ambaye ni tajiri, ambaye sio hasla. Mnakubali hiyo?
Videos shared on social media show Raila and his allies were met with booing chants from a section of the residents in support of Deputy President William Ruto and his Hustler movement. Raila, who did not seem bothered, later left and shared on his social media photos of his time there, a far cry from what apparently happened. But today, a group of young people stormed the newly created United Democratic Alliance Party, claiming payment for services rendered at Burma that led to the heckling of Raila Odinga. Assertions that were dismissed by supporters of the Hustler Nation political outfit aligned to the Deputy President. Raila has kicked off an aggressive countrywide public tour in what appears to be a tactical move to counter Ruto's wave ahead of 2022. Meanwhile, NCIC has sounded an alarm to politicians to be wary as it consolidated support from other government agencies to aid prosecution of hate speech offenders.
NCIC has been said it doesn't have teeth to bite, etc., because we don't convict the offenders.
This comes as Kandara Member of Parliament Alice Wahome snubbed summons by the agency to appear before it today over remarks she uttered last year during the infamous violence that broke out during Deputy President William Ruto's visit to Kennel Town in Murang'a County.
If you think the NCIC, because you actually summoned me and put it in your Twitter, I have taken the liberty to also be public about your summons.
Politicians sometimes like to be summoned by NCIC in order for them to show their people. And their people come and say, you are targeting our man.
The NCIC has proved ineffective in its mandate to clamp down on errant politicians. The irony of toxic politics being exchanged at an apparent time of building national cohesion cannot be ignored. From whichever side it comes, the leader needs to remember the country is bigger than anyone or any interest therein. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
Some more divisive politics at the county level, to be specific, Nyeri, where the Governor Mutahi Kahiga now regrets appointing Nyeri Deputy Governor Caroline Karogo 2 years ago after he rose to the county's top seat following the death of the county's second governor, Wahome Gakoro. This revealed some undercurrent wrangles between the governor and his deputy, with the root cause of the fallout unknown. Kahiga says his deputy no longer takes part in county affairs. NTV's Melito Letenges interrogates the drifting relationship between the two leaders who at some point appeared to be getting along.
Who was the first deputy woman? Caroline Karugu was the first deputy woman governor in Kenya's history to be appointed by a governor in office. a technocrat who was touted by many to be the missing piece for Governor Mutahi Kahiga's successful administration. But there now seems to be no peace between the two.
It's my mistake, and I carry it with me, because when that person is not performing, is not here with us, that clearly states one thing. I made a wrong decision, I think, and I'm proud of that. I have learned my mistakes. That is why after that, I will appoint a better person somewhere, God willing, in a better position.
Speaking during the launch of the third internship program in Nyeri for 200 interns, Kahiga said his deputy does not participate in county affairs. But Karugu, in a statement, has bashed the allegations by the governor, saying, and I quote, "I have fulfilled all responsibilities delegated to me at all times. The governor's motive is questionable. He is trying to use me as an excuse for failure to deliver on his mandate. His fears and insecurities about me are evident." It is said that Caroline Karugu could be eyeing a political seat in Nyeri in the coming elections. It is not the first time that the two leaders have been at loggerheads. Last year, when Governor Kahiga was accused of plastering his image on donated sanitizers by Kibo's Sugar Company, and shortly after setting up billboards with his portraits across the county, including one for the construction of a pit latrine, Karugu accused the governor of cheap publicity stunts, terming it as a total abuse to the intelligence of the people of Nyeri. The continued wrangles between Governor Kahiga and his deputy has seen the latter missing out on county functions, raising concern among the people of Nyeri. Melita Oletenges, NTV.
And now to the politics of succession at the judiciary. The acting Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu has hinted at contending for the Chief Justice position, saying there's no doubt about her qualifications. Mwilu said this during a visit to the Mombasa Law Courts, her first assignment as acting CJ. Fatuma Bugu has more.
4 days after taking over the reign at the judiciary from David Maraga, acting Chief Justice paid a visit of the first.
This was the country's first court. Over 100 years ago, I could have gone to the courts near Nairobi. I chose Mombasa for its historical status in the country, but more importantly for the work it does.
And barely a week in her acting position, she feels she can get used to it, and quite confidently so.
Hoping, and I'm not hoping for you, that when the time comes, you put your papers for the position of Chief Justice. I hold the office of the Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. The qualifications for that office are the same qualifications for the office of the Chief Justice.
She promised to carry on from where the retired Chief Justice left and continue to invest in a strong, independent and fair judiciary for sustained prosperity in Kenya.
I will not make a promise I cannot keep. So the promise I make today and I don't keep, please hold me personally liable. We are going to do it in the shortest time possible. Where the problems are internal, we will deal with them. Where they are external and beyond the control of the judiciary, I think let the blame lie where it must.
And the acting Chief Justice promises to act.
I have had some lawyers call me and say, "Oh, madam, please be careful because some of your staff are sabotaging the e-filing system." Let me not get any of our staff.
Perhaps one of her key performance indicators for her time as Chief Justice is the promise to move judicial staff from the Mombasa Law Courts to the adjacent New Justice Tower in Mombasa by March 2021. She's expected to hold the position for at least 4 months, during which a substantive Chief Justice will be appointed, and she is not ruling herself out from that prospect. Fatuma Bugu, NTV, Mombasa County.
She may be acting, she's not playing, says our producer with the tags. It's time for a break. At this time, we were expecting the first batch of the electoral results from Uganda's presidential and parliamentary elections. The polls closed, or the voting closed, at 4 p.m. today, and the Chambongo tallying center is where attention will be for the next 48 hours. Our colleagues at NTV Uganda are covering that, and it is still live. We'll be giving you the latest if we get an update from there, but not too much to report in terms of things that went left, if we call it that. But there are many questions in terms of the observance or the monitoring of this election, given the internet shutdown, as well as some of the observer missions saying they will not be participating, including the United States. Not that they are the SI unit of elections or politics and how they should run, but that's the situation. We'll be back with business after the break and then update you on what's latest from Uganda.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Kuchukua selfie ni kuchukua control ya future yako. Buy an Quick or Insti HIV test kit from your local pharmacy or through My Dawa. Hurry and get yours today at 150 Kenya shillings for a limited period of time. To talk to someone on how to use the test kits or interpret the test results and what to do next, call 1190. Amua kujua. Chukua selfie.
Let's do business. The recovery of businesses from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic is dependent not only on the extent to which economies have been reopened, but also the pace of the adaptation of the regulatory environment to accommodate new ways of doing business. Kenya is now seeking to put in place the legal backing to enable companies hold their annual general meetings online beyond the window that was created for listed companies in 2020. Alex Wangi reports.
The COVID-19 pandemic precipitated crises for many types of businesses and also created opportunities for new modes of service delivery. The need to create a conducive environment for businesses under the current set of circumstances has become paramount.
COVID has brought in new realities, and one of the reforms that we have before Parliament as we speak today, amongst many other reforms that we have proposed, is to enable companies now to actually do annual general meetings through Zoom. Because before, we didn't anticipate this kind of thing.
Small and medium enterprises form the backbone of many economies. What are some of the reforms that the EAC Ministry and the regional bloc is doing in order to enhance their trade opportunities?
We now have one-stop border post. The purpose of this one-stop border post is to make sure that customs officers, immigration officers at these border points are co-located so that they don't have to get, people checked twice or more than once and so on and so forth.
According to the CS, traders ought to have a paradigm shift in the way they perceive law enforcement at the border points.
The main reason why that check happens is not to stop a Kenyan good from going from Kenya into Uganda or vice versa. The main purpose for that border, for that customs check, is to make sure that goods that do not originate from Kenya don't land here and then go through the border. And that check is mandatory.
Among the reasons that small and medium enterprises struggle to stay on their feet is the heavy price they incur owing to protracted litigation, with many of them unable to afford the costs associated with court cases. This is one of the areas that the government is keen to tackle.
Small claims court is one that is specifically the way you have commercial courts to deal with small claims only. So and small claims is defined anything below 1 million shillings. And a significant volume of cases that are today clogging our commercial systems are small claims. And we expect between a week to 2 months. At most, those cases will just be dispensed with.
The East African community is 21 years old, and although much progress has been made to promote free movement of goods and services across the region, the dream of a political federation still remains elusive. Alex Mwangi, NTV.
Consumers of diesel will face the highest increase in pump prices effective midnight following the latest review by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Now, diesel will retail at a maximum price of 96 shillings and 40 cents, 4 shillings and 57 cents higher than the current price. Consumers of kerosene, on the other hand, should prepare to part with an extra 3 shillings and 56 cents for each litre, which will now fetch 87 shillings and 12 cents. The price of super petrol goes up by a marginal 57 cents effective midnight to fetch a maximum of 106 shillings and 99 cents. The market regulator has attributed this to the rise in landed cost of petroleum products. As competition in the global smartphone market intensifies, manufacturers are racing to outdo one another to meet the needs of their consumers and claim of a portion of the lucrative market. Victor Kiprop now looks at the latest venture by one player who is keen on consolidating their footprint in the market.
With a fast-growing youthful population that is always looking to get their hands on the latest smartphone in the market, Kenya has attracted tens of smartphone makers, all competing for a share of the lucrative Kenyan smartphone market. With the new range of the Galaxy S series, Samsung is looking to stay ahead of the pack.
So this is a significant change. The camera power improvement on it, super awesome. Anybody can become a director in with this particular device. The good thing is that also the battery capability of these devices has been enhanced very heavily. All-day batteries. But most important is the ecosystem that has been built around them. The Galaxy Buds Pro that comes with the S21 Ultra is much more capable in terms of sound effects, acoustic.
100,999 will fetch you the Galaxy S21, while the Galaxy S21 Ultra and the Galaxy S21 Plus will cost you 169,999 and 154,999 respectively. But what exactly dictates how your next Samsung smartphone model will look like?
Consumer insight and consumer interaction every other day. Very many years ago, we got consumer insight that our battery was not the best. For the past 3 years, we have worked to making it one of the best batteries in this market.
But as the cutthroat competition intensifies, smartphone makers are on an aggressive production, pumping in thousands of new handsets every day, presenting a major environmental challenge in the near future.
In other markets, you'll find there's sufficient legislation to allow the refurbishment of devices and reselling them back to the market. In our market, we don't have sufficient legislation on our side or policy on how to manage the refurbishment of phones and churning them back to the market. But this said and done, it doesn't mean that it's under the water. As a corporate, as a senior corporate in this country and globally, we are also looking at how can we be able to enhance and improve on this.
Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Now let me hang up. Business News is done.
Fun and food go together beautifully at GMC Place. Enjoy our succulent meals in a serene setting with a varied choice of fun games for the little ones. Cup it up with a cuppa or a cocktail, all available to your taste. Discover the joy of a warm pool by diving into the Blue Oasis heated pool. Or at GMC Place, the fun never ends. Make your reservation today on 0701 560 560.
Go ahead is believing to make each day a brighter day. It is our faith to start all over again. Go ahead is never giving up in the face of adversity. go ahead. Now, that is the Kenyan spirit.
Kuenda mbele ni roho ya Kenya.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Welcome back, and we continue with our focus in the Uganda elections, presidential and parliamentary, where there are at least 17 million registered voters. We will know from the Electoral Commission, of course, after this process is over, how many actually turned out, but there has been a marked good turnout of voters. And we're now joined by my colleague Andrew Chamagero, who is at the tallying center that is in Chambogo. And at this point, Andrew, we were expecting some of the results to have been registered. Has that happened?
Well, thank you so much, Mark Masai. Where we are, we're at Chambogo, the National Tallying Center. Well, earlier on, we all expected the faster, figures to come through by 9:30, but it's now 9:40, and we're still waiting upon whatever figures are going to come through. So we have a delay of the figures getting in here. The tallings have not yet started. But all these could be contributed or attributed in one way or the other to the shutdown of the internet. I understand it's not something that is new to Uganda, rather to Africa as well, because Togo, Zimbabwe, Guinea, and Congo, they have had this, but this has affected us in the election timelines. I had an interaction earlier on with the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and my question was, how do we trust this system? Because if the Electoral Commission does not have enough manpower to pick the results from the sub-county level to the district level and then bring that to the National Tallying Center, how credible is this system? But well, he said that the system was actually much more credible. So we are looking at 18.1 million Ugandan registered voters, and of these we are having a 34,684 polling stations across the country. Now, 47.5% of these were male and 52.5% were female. There is a unique paradigm shift here. Women in the previous elections were not so much into this, but this time around women came out so strong and vibrant to go and vote. So we're still waiting, but the system they're using, according to the Electoral Commission chairperson, it is the electronic results transmission process. So once the results are taken from the sub-county level, they're sealed into an envelope and they are escorted with agents and security operatives to the district level, and then it's spilled over and they get the results to the district. They scan those. I don't know how they send them to the tallying center. That's a question he's yet to answer on how best do they get these, because WhatsApp is off, internet is totally off, the emails are off. So how do they scan these and send it to the tallying center? That's what we're waiting for.
Right.
But one polling station was null and void. That is the Mwenge County North constituency in Chenjojo district, where there was a mismatch of the ballots. But according to the chairperson of the Electoral Commission says that these ballots are going now to be printed locally because it's one constituency. But the woman member of parliament in that constituency and the presidency voting went on undisturbed. Then in Kasherere, in Lubare Bushenyi district, there was an incident where the polling chief was, held up by unknown men, and this tempered the entire process. So theirs has been postponed to tomorrow. So we are waiting to see how this is all going to turn out. But what I can assure you is that from now until Saturday, we're going to be here to give you every bit of facts and figures as and when they come through. But the question still remains, How are they transmitting the results from the village level to the National Tallying Center in the wake of an internet shutdown in Uganda? Back to you, Mark Masai.
Andrew, perhaps this is a new innovation. Just before I let you go, earlier you spoke to the police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, who revealed the details of the raid on the Hotel Africana, where there were other election observers, but he called them having set up a parallel tallying center. What are the developments on that end?
Oh, yeah. Well, according to the police spokesperson, Fred Enanga, he made it much more elegant that by law, no one is allowed to have a parallel kind of a tallying center. Why? Because this could trigger unrest in the country. I'll go by the notion what the president has been alluding to in the recent past, that Uganda is under attack, and he says that this is fully funded by Western, external forces. And it's on that background that a couple of accounts of the CSOs and NGOs in the country were frozen, and some of those are still, battling court cases about the same issue. So today, the arrest of this situation, that was at Hotel Africana. I think it's just in tandem with what the president has been saying over time. It's not the first kind of incident. In 2016 and 2011, there was a tallying center that was of the FDC, Forum for Democratic Change. It was evaded by police, and they confiscated the stationery. Whatever material was there was confiscated on grounds of it was illegal. So today what has happened, it's a precedent that was earlier on before, and we are hoping to see what the security is going to pronounce itself about these CSOs that were found on that side. But Mark, as and more of these details are coming through, I'll keep you abreast with this, because Kenya is home, Uganda is home, and together tunawakilisha.
Kabisa. Asante sana Andrew Chamagero at the National Tallying Center at Kyambogo in Uganda, where the attention will be, and he will be pitching tent there till Saturday when the results are meant to be finalized. Thank you for that very comprehensive update. And on that point, we take a break. Sports is up next.
Rena vegetable oil stays liquid to the last drop, so it's smooth cooking from start to finish. Now with an easy-to-pour cap. Mapishi poa, madishi poa.
Breaking news from Molfix. Let's see what they're developing right now.
Pants is just for me. It really feels very comfy.
Molfix pants with anatomic fit technology. New Molfix pants, an invention from babies for babies.
You should also try Molfix.
Yo, it is Friday, you know how it goes down. Movers dancers watakuwa ndani ya nyumba. Kama tutakuwa na Ben Soul in the building. And of course the hostess with the mostest, Amina na Osoro Mbiamono.
Snap, snap, sana de kujiponya.
Wait, if Friday, don't miss out. Yeah.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy gated community off Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Na ukwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
Very good evening. Getting right into the world of sport. There is still hope for Kenya to have more boxers at this year's Tokyo Olympics, with June's repechage qualifiers in France. From the African qualifiers held in Senegal early 2020, only skipper and featherweight Nico Koth, as well as flyweight Christine Ongare, booked tickets to Tokyo. The hit squad has been in training ahead of the final shot at qualification after resuming practice in November following the COVID-19 shutdown, then a two-week festive break in December. Kenya had 3 boxers at the 2016 Rio Olympics, flyweights Benson Gisharu and Peter Waroi, as well as middleweight Rayton Okwiri.
Qualifiers za Africa, on my side weight yangu ilikuwa ni gold na silver ndio ilikuwa naenda. Mimi nilimanage kupata bronze. So natumaini God atanihelp nikienda France nichukue tiketi ya Tokyo.
Yotiko Inakam. Local basketball league players are raring to go, with the Kenya Basketball Federation League set to tip off on February 6th. This is after a postponement to allow for national elections of federation officials, which takes place on 23rd January. The KBF leagues failed to take place last year due to COVID-19 effects.
To start preparation for the league, now that the league has been pushed to next month, and we're having a good pre-season preparation for the league. It's good for the players who have been off for a very long time. Now we're starting to gel and loosening up very well.
Timu yetu sasa naona tuko more athletic na tuko very agile. Although hatujakuwa tukitrain pamoja, but with this training session we are having right now, tutaweza kubuild hiyo chemistry.
Great. Former marathon world record holder Patrick Macau believes that hard work enabled him to succeed in his athletics career. The 35-year-old broke that 2011 Berlin Marathon in a time of 2 hours, 3 minutes and 38 seconds. His record was then beaten by Wilson Kipsang 2 years later at the 2013 Berlin Marathon.
Kwangu, kwa akili yangu, nilikuwa nimefikiria tu kushinda.
Kule kwenda kutetea.
Kutetea.
Sababu umeshinda 2010,
wangu, ya.
Sasa unarudi kwa mwaka mwingine.
Yeah. Lakini tukakimbia, wakati tulifika kilomita ya 23, nikaweza kuona Gabriel Selassie ameweza kupull out juu ya pace ilikuwa juu zaidi. Ndiposa kwa akili yangu ikamaanisha mimi mwenyewe sisikii pace, lakini mbingwa yeye mwenyewe ameisikia.
Amekubali matokeo, ameachia.
Amekubali pace iko juu. Ndiposa mimi nikaongeza kazi zaidi. Na wakati tumefika kwa kilomita ya 30, niliweza kuadvaisiwa na one of the race organizers kupitia ile muda ama ile kazi naenda nayo, nikiweza kuvumilia naweza nikafunja rekodi. Niliomba kitu ya kwanza, nikikimbia tu niliomba, nikaambia Mungu aniwezeshe. Na nikaweza kukimbia, kukamata barabara na nikafuata markings. Ni siku ambayo ilikuwa kubwa sana kwangu. Mwenyewe niliweza kukimbia na nikaweza, wakati niliweza kufuka kamba, nikamaliza mbio. Kwa akili yangu haikuwa inamaanisha kitu. Nilikuwa naona kama nimeshinda mbio tu la kawaida vile nimekuwa nikifanya. But kwa muda mchache nilishtuka sana. Imeandikwa kama breaking news. Siku hizi nimekuwa menda wa wanayouth wengi sana ambalo liliweza kutokezea ama liliweza kupitia kufunja kwangu kwa rekodi.
Great. Let's cross borders. And Phil Foden's strike moments before halftime gave Manchester City a 1-0 win over Brighton to move the hosts up to 3rd in the English Premier League. Given league leaders and local rivals Manchester United visit second-place Liverpool on Sunday and have a resurgent Arsenal amongst their next opponents, while Jurgen Klopp's men must also face Tottenham before January is over, Pep Guardiola might yet have a chance to move further up in the table in the coming weeks. Meanwhile, Tottenham dropped more points as they played to a 1-1 draw against Fulham at home. Harry Kane put Spurs ahead in the 25th minute before Ivan Cavaleiro equalized for Fulham in the 74th. Arsenal host Crystal Palace in tonight's only game. And Mauricio Pochettino won the first trophy of his managerial career as Paris Saint-Germain beat Masai 2-1 to win the Trophée des Champions. PSG have won 19 of their past 20 finals in domestic cups and have won this competition for the past 8 years. Pochettino failed to win anything in almost 4 years at Espanyol, 1 year, 4 months at Southampton, and get this, 5.5 years with Spurs, but has scooped silverware in his 3rd game in charge of the French club. The Trophée des Champions is France's version of the Community Shield, a game between the league and cup winners. And Barcelona will face either holders Real Madrid or Athletic Bilbao in the Spanish Super Cup final after beating Real Sociedad in a penalty shootout following a 1-1 draw after extra time. Ricky Puig scored the decisive sport kick for the Spanish Giants after Antoine Griezmann and Frankie de Jong both missed the target. The second semi takes place tonight, while the final of the Spanish Super Cup, which is in its 2nd year as a 4-team tournament, takes place on Sunday. That does it for sport tonight. I'm Ida Waringa. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing.
The rest of the viewing, at least for the bulletin, is over. But thank you for tuning in, and our coverage and follow-up of the Ugandan election, parliamentary and presidential elections that wound up today will continue as the tallying starts, and we'll be on with it from tomorrow morning. Have yourself a good night. Keep safe.
This is NTV.
Yo, it is Friday, you know how it goes down. Movers dancers watakuwa ndani ya nyumba. Kama kawa tutakuwa na Ben Soul in the building. And of course, the hostess with the mostest, Amina na Osoro Mbiamono.
Snap, snap, sana de kujiponya.
Wait, if Friday, don't miss out. Yeah.
Select a plot of value-added land within Garden of Joy gated community of Koma Kennel Road, Machakos. Now ukwamue January na 21K with Optiven. Call us now on 0790 300 300.
How many ways can you enjoy your Jameson? Well, with a taste so smooth, every pour is perfect for chilling, chatting, and connecting, and taking time out to toast life's little pleasures. So grab a glass and make room for others, because good taste doesn't have a time or place. Why? Smooth taste. That's why. Don't drink and drive. Not for sale to persons under the age of 18. Excessive consumption of alcohol is harmful to your health.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Antonina.
Thank you for making us.
Thank you for making us your favorite drive show crew. Nation and friend, we love you.
Wow! Thank you, people.
She's a bad girl, I'm stitches. I got you good. You and the man cheesy.
Tunajibamba na show yenyu. Muendelee hivyo hivyo.
I came to rap, you know, do my thing.
Thank you for listening to 96.3 Nation FM.
Of course, Antona Obina.
And Obina.
Call him taking control.
Mad love, mad respect.
I run the city.
DJ Mo.
Yes, Massive and Crew. Tune in every Saturday from 7 up until 10 p.m. on Nation FM 96.3 for reggae music. Hashtag Jam Down KE.
Yes, man, we move the party straight to your TV screen. How's your